Huh?
Fuck this shit, I'm out. Fuck this shit, I'm out. No thanks.
Alright, so this Duelist Cup marks a pivotal moment in my life, in that this will be the last time I ever play Malice ever again. I will not so much as look at a Malice card inside the deck builder ever again, because let me have some bit more of my copium here. Konami will finally kill this goddamn deck in the next ban list, because they have done an absolutely terrible job at it so far. I'll go over Malice more in detail later, but first off, let's discuss this. What the hell happened in this Duelist Cup? If you guys weren't playing it, lucky you. You guys probably enjoyed your weekend much more than I did. But yeah, to go over what happened, what the meta was. So I'll put up some of my stats again, as I do for every Duelist Cup that I keep track of. So overall, I think this is my worst win rate so far in a Duelist Cup. This is really bad. It's mainly because my going first win rate, 61%. That is pathetic. That is dog water. That is unacceptable, frankly. To win only 61% of your games going first, I'm disgusted looking at that. I need to go back to the drawing board, which I will discuss, potentially why my going first win rate was so low. But when I go over my deck in detail. But my going second win rate was 46%, which is the highest it's ever been in a Duelist Cup. I've been keeping track of my personal stats for Duelist Cups for the past 2 years now, and I don't remember even ever having a going second win rate above 40%. 46% going second, this is 10% higher than basically all of my other going second win rates in all the previous Duelist Cups. And probably to explain why, you can look at the format and the most popular decks being played. By far, the two most popular decks were Dracotail and Malice. And all I gotta say is thank fucking God for Dracotail. The Dracotail is holding this format, it's carrying this format on its back. And it's its back is barely able to keep it up. It is about to break it any second, because Dracotail, out of every deck I played against in the Duelist Cup, Dracotail was the only deck where if I was going second against, I didn't want to immediately jump off a bridge, because you could actually have their combos, their turns don't last so long. If you don't open a hand trap and they do their combo, that's fine. You can play into it. I won plenty of games versus Dracotail where I didn't open a single hand trap, and that was fine. If you don't open a hand trap against basically any other deck this format, you are boned. You are straight up gonna lose on the spot. So Dracotail being the most popular deck, tied for the most popular deck, and being an acceptable deck that's not toxic and is able to allow for interactive gameplay between both players, is that is a huge improvement over the last Duelist Cup, where it was just Ryzeal and Malice, and it was the most unplayable shit I've ever seen in my life. At least, thank God, we have Dracotail. Now, I didn't pick to choose Dracotail because I personally didn't think Dracotail was the best deck, and it was actually, unfortunately, for the very reasons why I described Dracotail being healthy for this meta, and why it was a pleasurable deck. It was it allowed for pleasurable or good gameplay experiences between two players. That is also why I didn't think it was the best deck, because it was fair. It was not a toxic deck. It was not an auto win deck that made your opponent leave on the spot. So therefore, I did not think it was the best choice for a Duelist Cup environment, which I think that notion has been proven right. Obviously we'll wait for the final results and wait for the tallies and all of the deck lists, but I don't think Dracotail was the best deck for this format. It was just a solid deck that allowed for good gameplay experiences if you're into that, which, why would you, that's kind of weird, caring about enjoying the game. Why would you play Yu-Gi-Oh to enjoy it, right? But yeah, but if you look at every other deck besides Dracotail, it is just Oh man, the Malice being basically as represented as Dracotail is a complete fail on Konami's part because they've hit Malice on 4 consecutive ban lists and they try to hit it hard. Like they fucking banned Red Ransom. They banned its main extra deck monster, and Malice is still arguably the best deck of this format, and it is as represented as Dracotail, the new meta deck from the new pack. Like Malice putting up numbers, the same numbers as Dracotail, while getting hit on the ban list 4 times in a row is not something that should happen. But yeah, we all know how playing Malice is like and how fucking like horrid of an experience playing against Malice is. But the other decks are just as the other decks that aren't Dracotail are just as bad, because then you have Odeon, which the only way Odeon is being played right now or was being played in the Duelist Cup was as a Floodgate set 5 deck with like Solemn Judgments and like Soul Drains. I got Soul Drained so many times. My literal human soul was drained from my body, it felt like, because of the amount of Soul Drains I had to play under. And then Ryzeal might be the most toxic deck out of all of them. In like an environment with Malice, Ryzeal could be even worse, because Ryzeal is just choosing your flavor of FTK. It's unbelievable. You could choose to turn skip with Tall and Lights. You can choose the Search Heartbeat Featherstorm. You can I don't think people are playing Prolos anymore, because Prolos is frankly not good enough. There are better FTKs to go for. It's impossible to interact with Ryzeal going first, because Malice, at least Malice, you have Maxx and Mulch Armies, you can maybe slow them down with those. Against Ryzeal, you know what happens when you Maxx or Mulch Army a Ryzeal opponent? They fucking make Alan Burst and they search this card called Heavy Slump, which basically means that if your opponent has a big hand, they shovel their entire hand back into their deck and draw like 2 or 3 cards. You basically hand loop them for their entire hand and make them draw like 2 cards from it, so their hand size goes down to 2. And if they Maxx you, they're gonna have a big hand. So the Heavy Slump is going to destroy them. And you can't Ash Heavy Slump because Cross is on the field. You can't Red Reboot Heavy Slump because they search a counter trap. So literally, no matter whatever the fuck you do against Ryzeal going second, you're probably going to lose if they don't brick. And you're going to lose in like the least enjoyable fashion possible. It's unbelievable. And like on other decks, this was actually a more diverse format than last Duelist Cup. There's actually quite a bit of Dracotail, non-Malice, non-Ryzeal decks, but you know, even most of the other decks are still like not really like they're like pick your form of getting fucked over when you don't open the hand trap going second. Like they're like Orcust, which is impossible to hand trap. Like Orcust means it's impossible to hand trap when you're going second. There's White Forest Azamina, which is like impossible to hand trap unless you open Droll. There's fucking like there's still Tenpai flying around, which I don't know why the hell you'd be playing Tenpai, because that deck is kind of ass. But you know, Tenpai, very interactive experience, very interactive games, and then like fucking Lunalight, which is like the Lunalight is like the most boring deck to ever play against when you lose the coin flip, because you know they're just doing the same shit over and over again and ending on a towers, and then it's like depending on which deck you play, you might auto lose to that because you don't have a towers out, or you might like just win because you haven't out the towers. Like these are like, yeah, there's just still a lot of problems in this format. This was an improvement over the last Duelist Cup. I will say that, you know, it's anything will top the fucking Malice Ryzeal only Duelist Cup. But you know, there's still a long ways to go, and maybe with the next pack, we might be continuing on a trend towards like the game actually getting better, even if it's like baby steps at a time, and also, you know, given what's going to happen on the ban list. But yeah, speaking of the ban lists, the deck I played, so yes, I played Ryzeal, and like here's like the deck list. The deck list is not important. There's like the main things that changed were like the non-engine choices. But first, like the deck list you see, like this is the deck that's the result of 4 consecutive ban lists to the deck. Okay, Konami, this is not how you hit a deck on a ban list. Okay, Konami hits all the consistency cards. All of the best cards in this deck are limited to 1, and you hit Red Ransom, which frankly I'm like actually surprised by how little the Red Ransom ban does. I actually did not miss Red Ransom as much as I nearly thought I would when I was comboing. But you do not hit a deck like this, because what happens is when you reduce the deck's consistency but not the power level, so one of two things happens. One is I bricked. I bricked quite a lot. I knew bricking was a thing that's going to happen with this deck just because of how many limited cards there were in this deck. I bricked like 35 times, which is about a 10% of my games. I didn't even get to play the game because I didn't draw a playable hand. And it wasn't just me that was bricking. No, my opponents bricked just as much as I did. Because like, you know, that's just how it goes. So like, me, 10% of the time, I'm going to brick. 10% of the time, my opponent's going to brick. And anytime either one of the players bricks, like, the game is a complete non-game, unless both players brick at the same time. Then you get some funny gameplay, but like, that's not really what we're looking here for, just playing with bricks. And when you don't brick, this deck plays like it's never been hit before, because you just draw the good cards. Like, you draw your limited cards, and then suddenly it's like you're playing unhit Malice. The Red Ransom Man, I don't think the deck lost a single body during its combo because of the Red Ransom ban. I think you maybe lose one body during your entire combo, because instead of searching Wizard Administrator, you search March Hare. So yeah, that's one less body, but who cares? You still end on Ally Code, Firewall Dragon, Transcode, White Binder, GWZ. Like, you just draw 2, draw like 4, you still end on everything. And if you have a single extender, you get a Heat Soul too, so you get 2 extra draws on top of that. So like, and that is literally the entire full end board after the Apple ban anyways. It's unbelievable. Like, when the deck draws playable, it's like normal Malice, and it feels unstoppable. And when you don't draw playable, then, well, you know what that is. So like, that's the gameplay experience. That's the 2 types of games you will generally get with this deck. Your opponent, or with this deck, you either play unplayable or you draw unstoppable and you play through like 2 or 3 hand traps. And that goes for my opponents too, because I kept track of how many games my opponents just left. That's the unknown games, where my opponents literally just left before they even got their turn. Before they got a turn, there were still like 60-ish games where my opponent just left before I finished comboing, because they just saw I was comboing off and they just decided it's not even worth it to play out their turn. That's still a problem. That's not something that should exist in this game. Like, there should not be a dynamic to where you feel like it's hopeless going second. Okay, like that's Dracotail does not present that dynamic. You play against Dracotail, you don't feel that way. You feel that when you play against Malice, when you play against Ryzeal. So like, yeah, that's, man, like that. Hopefully we don't have to worry about this shit, and we just don't have to worry about Malice being an actual playable deck anymore. I'm tired of this deck. Everyone's tired of this deck. I'm tired of giving this deck the benefit of the doubt after every balance, thinking that, oh, this might be the balance hit that makes Malice feel like a more balanced deck, that feels like an okay deck, a more fair deck to play against. And it has not. Absolutely not. That has not been the case. Like, after 4 tries, like, it's over. Like, please get this shit out of here. This is not something that anyone feels like should exist in fucking Master Duel. Okay, this is, yeah. Anyways, like, to go over the deck list quickly, which is like honestly the less important part of that entire rant, but of this entire video. But I'm not gonna go over any Malice cards. The Malice cards are standard. I think you run what you run. Like, the ratios are pretty much solved for the most part. I think you just run TB11 now instead of Mirror, and like, I put in a Cyan Mining because I was tired of fucking bricking. That's why I put in that Cyan Mining. I wasn't even playing this before, but like, I added this in as another starter because I wanted to, you know, actually maybe play the game a bit more often. But like, the only thing that really changed for the most part is the non-engine, which it's only some, because like Maxx and Ash Blossom and Impulse, I think, are pretty much required. If you're playing this deck, you have to run all of these, and then the rest of the end, and like Call by and Cross it, obviously, and the rest of this and the stuff is interchangeable. So Droll and Lockbird, not as a hand trap. Droll and Lockbird sucks ass as a hand trap this format, but you play this because it's an out to Maxx. And this is one of the best decks that's self-rolling itself on the Maxx, as I will show you in the replays just how fucking disgusting this deck how disgusting of a board this deck can make under rolling itself as a way to stop Maxx, which is, yeah. By the way, that is fun. I think the biggest hit to Malice, unironically, the biggest hit to Malice was not any of the Malice cards getting hit. It was not Apple getting banned. It was not any of that stuff. It was not Red Ransom getting banned. It was not any of the names getting limited. No. The biggest hit to Malice was Droll going to 2 and Called by going to 1. Because then you lose 2 outs to Maxx C. So you lose to Maxx C more. That is more significant than any other hit to this deck. And that's also a reason why I felt like my going first win rate was worse, because I opened the outs to Maxx C and Malcharmy less, and because of that, I would lose to Maxx C and Malcharmy more often. So yeah, that's it. That is the biggest hit to this deck. It has nothing to do with the fucking Malice cards themselves. Yeah, so that's why you still gotta play Droll, because unless you like losing to Maxx C. And then one Nibiru was like, this was a flex spot. I tried other stuff too. I had a third Imperm at one point. I think I had a Perulia because of Ryzeal. You had Imperms, which are like good against Dracotail but bad against everything else. So it's like, I don't know how many of these I should run. And the card of this Duelist Cup and the card of this format has been Red Reboot, because if you remember the matchups, the 2 most common decks in this Duelist Cup format were Dracotail and Malice. So against Dracotail, that, as goes without saying, Red Reboot versus Dracotail, the deck that sets up 3 trap cards as part of their end board, is insane. And it's, what's also insane is that because Allure, this deck plays Allure, which this card also should go to 1. This card is literally a better Pot of Greed. It's actually fucking insane how broken this card is, and you will not realize how broken this card is until you actually played this deck for yourself and like activate Allure. But yeah, the fact that you can activate Allure and you have Chesty Cap to draw into Red Reboot during your combo, and anytime you draw into Red Reboot during your combo, like the game's immediately over. So like they have to prevent you from drawing cards too. So like this is, yeah. And against Malice, this is even good against Malice, because Malice plays MTP is an interruption, and obviously this deck plays Impulse and Imperm, so like it potentially shuts off like 3 interruptions in the Malice from the Malice engine. And also, this is what's really dumb about Red Reboot is also sort of a pseudo call, so it's like a pseudo crossout designator versus Imperm and Dominance Impulse, because you don't care that they get to set another card. If you Red Reboot a Dominance Impulse on your turn 1, and they set another trap card, it doesn't matter, because on your end board you're gonna have a Cryptor that's banishing 1 trap card, and then you can just make an access code and destroy the other trap card. So you can end up basically your full end board, just swap out a Firewall Dragon for an access code talker, and then you clear both back rolls after rebooting them. So Red Reboot is literally just like another free anti-hand trap counter, because that's definitely what this deck needs, more ways to beat hand traps, right? And it's also the Red Reboot, the amount of times Red Reboot got Red Rebooted this weekend was disgusting, because like the only counter to Red Reboot is another Red Reboot. So like yeah, and then like if you open double Red Reboot, it's super broken, because then you can shut off their traps, and then they set another trap, and you don't care about whatever they set, because next turn you're just gonna drop a Red Reboot again, so they can't even use the trap they set for free. Like that's stupid. And this, you notice, Malice will use GWG, or Malice will use TB11 as part of its combo. So there are lines where you will Red Reboot a TB11, and then that will end their turn. So because that basically you're using Red Reboot like you would an Ash on a TB11, just stopping the TB11, and that's like an actual choke point on the deck. So like this is like the single best format I've ever seen for, like, it has nothing to do with the fact that Odeon sees play and is a back row set 5 deck. That's the reason why I don't think Odeon was good, is because everybody was playing Red Reboot for Dracotail and Malice, and Odeon is just, nobody even cared about Odeon, but it was just another deck in the background that got destroyed by the tech card that everyone's running. But yeah, that's the Red Reboot rant. Don't know if this card will get hit, because, like, quite frankly, this card is super toxic, and nobody would care, or like nobody would be sad about this card getting rebanned again, or even going to 1. I think it should at least go to 1, because drawing double Red Reboot is super toxic. But this is like the only format in the history of Master Duel, I think, where Red Reboot is actually a good card. I can't remember another format where I have actually wanted to play Red Reboot, and I wasn't a dedicated blind second deck. Yeah, I can't really think of one. So like maybe that'll be the logic for why Red Reboot won't get hit, which Sure, fine. This card's probably not going to be good next format anyway, so like it won't really see play afterwards, even whether it gets banned or not. But you know, I wouldn't mind seeing this on the somewhere on the I wouldn't mind seeing this hit to at least 1 again. That way I can, you see I own 3 red reboot. I would like to get some like crafting points back for the red reboots. But yeah, the extra deck. So 14 cards are all staples. So like Link Spider, Almirage, 1 Lingarebo, Decoder, Cyber's Wicked, Splash Mage, SP, Transcode, Heat Soul, White Binder, Card Scripter, Firewall Dragon, Access Code, and Ally Code. You need all 14 of these cards. I think these are pretty much non-negotiable. Every Malice deck will run these 14 cards. The 15th slot is like up for debate. I played a second Lingarebo to like. The theory is it helps in the Dracotail matchup because you can like. If they can out one link, if they think they outed a 1 Lingarebo, you can just make a second one and then you're fine. But that literally only came up like once or maybe twice where I actually needed a second Lingarebo. The most of the time I made 2 Lingarebos, it was because because I knew I was playing 2 Lingarebos. I just didn't have to care, and I just turned any of my first Cybers monsters into a Lingarebo, even when I didn't have to, just to potentially play around. Maybe my opponent was holding an Impulse or an Imperm or like some random back row, but so like I could make one without caring because I know I have a second one anyways if I need to make another Link one. But I don't think I really needed this that often. I didn't need this 15 extra deck slot like for like much at all. I don't think I really summoned it that much because like before I was playing IP. Before I was playing IP Masquerena, and like obviously IP, main reason you play this is like a Maxx play. But fun fact, did you know Heat Soul's effect? It's not just drawing a card. If you ever get below 2k life points, you can special summon a Link 3 or lower Cybers monster from your extra deck, which happens to be IP. So when you get really low on life points, you can make a Heat Soul to draw a card and then summon out an IP as another disruption on your end board. That literally, obviously that never happened. And the only time you would ever get below 2k life points is when you resolve a red reboot. Because this deck pays for a lot of life points. I think if you do the turn 1 combo, you will end at like 4k life points if you make a Heat Soul. So you need to find a way to lose 1k extra life points in order for your Heat Soul to summon out an IP. I've never found an opportunity where I could have done that. So yeah, pretty much only when you draw a red reboot, and if you red reboot too early without paying any life points first, you're actually too low. And if you make basically if you red reboot for 4k and you make a Heat Soul, you will like unalive yourself. So I don't recommend that. But yeah, so yeah, I never made IP. There's like some people would say make like Dark. The problem with Dark is that Dark is not a Cybers monster. So the turns where you make Dark, you can't use Transcode, which is like obviously that's an issue. But at the same time, when you use Dominus Impulse, you also can't use Transcode. So I guess Dark would be for when the time you Dominus Impulse, and then you can't use Transcode anyway. So like you could use Dark. Maybe Dark could have come a little bit. As you saw, I didn't run Bystials anymore. Bystials also conflict with Transcode, but I think Bystials were just really shit this format. Like obviously when the top 3 decks are Malice, Dracotail, and Ryzeal, Bystials ain't gonna do shit to any of those 3 decks. So even if it is like a half shitty extender, I just cut Bystials entirely. Like I did not want to draw Bystials. I wanted to run real hand traps beside Bystials. So yeah. And anyways, that's like probably enough talking about a deck list that's gonna be dead in like a week. Copium. So instead, I'll show you some interesting games. So I played nearly 400 games, so like I found 8 interesting games out of the 400 to show you. So we'll start with one of the best games I've played all weekend, which is versus Tokyo, one of our Master Duel Worlds representatives. He actually went to Worlds in 2 different years. Not this year though, not 2025, but maybe we'll see him back in 2026. So yeah, I'm going second, and I opened no hand trap, or I opened 1 hand trap. I opened Imperm, so I'm gonna Imperm the Lucius, which Lucius, the Dracotail has this problem where a lot of times it will just pass to Imperm on Lucius. It's kind of sad, but my opponent's a Worlds competitor, so they actually draw good cards. So yeah, they drew a Rahu, and they can go into Gulamel first by sending Malulu and then Urgula, and then I like the way that they play this out. So I'll explain once they set up their board, but they set a K2, and then they set Flame, and then the K2 adds the 5 mana, and then they will use the 5 mana with the Lucius and the Malulu. Second Malulu in hand is Secretarian Dragon. So Secretarian Dragon, what he's gonna do is this is not gonna be a floodgate because obviously I'm not playing a deck that loses to Secretarian Dragon, but they're gonna use Secretarian Dragon to summon back the Malulu, and then by shuffling back the Lucius, and then the Urgula is gonna add the 5 mana back to hand, and yeah, this is their end board. So this is how you don't lose to Red Reboot. Okay, so you don't put all your eggs in one basket with Dracotail. The best way to play Dracotail is to ensure you have 2 separate ways to fusion summon, as well as having the back row. That way you don't lose to Red Reboot on your back row because you still have fusion summons. You don't lose to a Dominus Impulse because you have 2 ways to fusion summon. So if they Dominus Impulse one of your ways to fusion summon, you can still fusion summon. So that's how you don't get blown out by a single card. Because a lot of people they'll put everything into 3 traps and then get blown out by Red Reboot, or they will just have 1 5 mana as their only way to fuse. You know, sometimes you can't really have another way. Sometimes you don't have access to Malulu with Secretarian. Sometimes you don't have access to Vert or bodies for Verte, so you can't make a Sanctifier. But obviously, when 5 mana is your only way to fusion summon, you also get blown out by Dominus Impulse as your on your 1 interaction. So the fact that Tokyo set up both Malulu and 5 mana plus a trap card means that his board is layered enough and diverse enough to where he doesn't get blown out by any single blowout card. So yeah. Anyway, end of main phase. This is like Malice Classic, where you go March Hare, banish White Rabbit, special summon White Rabbit. White Rabbit set a Ballast trap card, and then they're going to go Malulu fuse, because unbeknownst to me, I actually forgot they didn't use Malulu's effect yet, so they could get a free Gulamel pop. And then they're going to go into an Arphalion, and then Arphalion is going to add back the 5 mana and the Malulu, and the 5 mana is going to trigger, and then they're going to set the Sting. So they actually get 2 traps out of that, as 2 set traps out of that as well. Yeah, so we're going to set TB11. The TB11 banishes the White Rabbit to get a Chesy Cat on the field. So I get the Chesy. Normally, you're supposed to TB11, banish the March Hare, and then the March Hare adds itself back. But my opponent, saw through that, and they popped the March Hare. I think they might have been playing around that because I was shit at hiding my toggles. So that was actually good on them. And I literally made their end board better by activating March Hare. So whoops. But I do start the turn with Chesy Cat on the field. And as I mentioned before, this deck draws cards, and if you draw into Red Reboot, that's insane. So Chesy Cat is something my opponent has to somewhat answer, but they can't because Chesy Cat, because I summoned it off to TB11, I get player priority in the main phase to do the first action. So before they can do anything, their traps cannot touch a defense position Chesy Cat. They cannot fuse with anything until I start with an action. So my first action is I use Chesy Cat to draw cards. I banish White Rabbit, draw 2 cards. Unfortunately, don't draw into a red Reboot or a Dominus Impulse. That would have been nice, but now we do get the free summon off White Rabbit, and then we go into Lingarebo. So now my opponent is going to Malulu to fuse the Arphalion plus the Malulu in hand into a Arphalion, and now they're going to Malulu, Arphalion, bounce back my White Rabbit, and I'm going to chain Callby on the Gulamel because the Gulamel, they fused it off, so the Gulamel is going to be really annoying because the Gulamel being on the field represents a way to pop my Lingarebo at any moment because they can just trigger effects that I don't care about, but they can just chain Gulamel to pop my Lingarebo. So I actually just call by the Lingarebo, I call by the Gulamel, knowing that they have a 5 mana in hand, and I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to eat the 5 mana. I think the Gulamel is actually a bit more threatening in this position, so yeah, call by the Gulamel, and then they don't chain the Flame, even though I think they set the Flame, and then they set a K2, and then the Malulu negates my Lingarebo. So remember my build. My Lingarebo is out of commission, but we have a surprise for my opponent. So I got the March Hare, and then they're gonna use Sting, and then Sting banish my my Imperm and my Chessy Cat. I think they're just trying to draw cards because they're trying to draw into a way to, like, you know, stop me and draw into another monster to fuse with, or just recycle the lmao. So I special the March here, managed the Chessy Cat and the March here will trigger because they managed my own Chessy Cat. So the Chessy Cat comes. The March Harry got banished by my opponent, so the March Harry comes back to my hand. The Chessy Cat summons itself, and now we go to the Lingarebo 2, and now nice trap card, nice Dracotail Horn you got there. You're not gonna make me horny this mid game. I'm really sorry. I'm like fucking. My brain is fried. I don't know why I said that. Please excuse me. That is a terrible joke. But yeah, now that I have protection under a second Lingarebo, even though the first one is negated, this is the, you know, it's really the second one that gets you. Unironically, now I get to normal summon Dormouse, and then Dormouse I get to banish a White Rabbit, which I banished a White Rabbit just to thin out my deck because if you notice, I've already used all my effects, so like I was just literally deck thinning with the Dormouse. Was actually just a vanilla. It was actually just plus 600 attack points to all my Malice monsters. And then I link off the negated Lingarebo into a White Binder, and then the White Binder is gonna banish my Dormouse and my opponent's Arphalion, which the Arphalion comes back. Like, well, whatever. Who really cares, right? It's there, and then the White Binder banishes Dormouse. The Dormouse will come back, and my opponent's gonna chain 5 mana at this point. So chain 5 mana, and they're going to fuse into a Chaos Star Source Dragon, which is an interesting choice because they had the Secretariat Dragon on the field. They could actually fusion summon into Chaos Star Source with Malulu and Secretariat, which I can't say I've ever seen that. I can't say I've seen that anywhere else. I think this is the only time I've ever had my Dracotail opponent summon Chaos Star Source against me on my turn, no less. And the Chaos Star Source is going to pop my Lingarebo and my GWC, but I'm going to chain the GWC, obviously, on my White Binder. So then the White Binder, you know, summon back the Red Rabbit, the White Rabbit, the White Binder comes back. White Binder gets Dracotail Horn. For some reason, he waited until I reset the GWC. But yeah, the Horn now puts back the White Binder and shovels back the Sting, and they draw a card. But, you know, at this point, it's too late because they've already gone through Sting, Horn. They've gone through Sting and Horn. They've gone through 5 mana. They've gone through Gulamel, and or they've gone through 5 mana. They've gone through Malulu. They've gone through 2 fusions. They've gone through 2 traps, and I have no more spells in my hand, so I'm not going to trigger Flame anymore. And now my opponent has no more interruptions besides the possible hand trap they drew after 2 traps. They got nothing. So we played through our opponent's entire full end board, plus the Ash Blossom. I think they topped up the Ash Blossom. So they're going to Ash my backup, which honestly I don't care because I already have access to all my names. The backup would have just searched Wizard, which was 2 more bodies, but who needs two more bodies? Because this is Malice. We already have infinite bodies. So, you know, we're going to summon back... what Chessy Cat? I was like, what the hell is this one called? Summon back Chessy Cat, make it with a Slash Mage. Slash Mage, the only reason I made a Slash Mage was to get an extra attribute in the graveyard. It didn't actually help me link climb at all because I used the Hardscripter needs 3 bodies, but still, you know, just get a water engrave. So that way you can go access code, gain 3k, access code, banish the Slash Mage, pop the Chaos Star Source, access code, banish the Hardscripter, banish, pop their Arphalion, summon back the Hardscripter in the battle phase, shuffle back, banish the Arphalion, and that's game. That's an example of why the matchup is very good for Malice, because you can play through every single interruption on a Dracotail full, quote-unquote, full end board, and still OTK them in the same turn. Against a good player, no less, too. Like, this wasn't some guy just clicking buttons, okay? This is a Worlds competitor we're talking about. Also, mind you, without drawing Red Reboot and without drawing Dauntless Impulse. So now from one of my best games to one of my worst games I played this weekend. We're playing the Malice Mirror, you know, big surprise. Worst game, 2 Malice decks. And my opponent goes Silent Minding, discard Nibiru, and then normal summon Dormouse, and then I'm going to Imperm the Dormouse, hoping that works. It never works. Imperming Dormouse never fucking works because they have like so many extenders in their deck, so they're going to just link it off into Link Decoder, and then summon March Hare banishing the Dormouse, and it's like my imperm didn't exist. So they're going to go into White Binder now, and then the Coulter summons back, and then the White Binder is going to banish their Dormouse for some reason. That's seems a bit early to be using your White Binder effect. I don't know about that, Chief. It doesn't really matter because I have the Nibiru, and you know, they get their hair back, but unless they drew backup or Wizard, they can't extend from here. So I'm just praying they didn't draw one of their 4 extenders, and thank fucking God that they didn't, and they just passed. So that's the rare moment where Nibiru actually worked. And here, unfortunately, my hand does not have a Malice monster in it, so like I kind of only have one play. So yeah, I'm gonna normal summon back a Batagnister, and then this is so insane. They're going to Crossout Designator back a Batagnister. Have you ever seen Crossout Designator on back of Batagnister before? Like that, this is literally the first time I've ever seen that. And like obviously the reason why they didn't cross out the Nibiru was because they only play one Nibiru, and they discarded their Nibiru off the Silent Mining because they hard drew it. So they couldn't cross out the Nibiru, which is like that in itself is hilarious, but almost as hilarious as fucking Crossout Designating a backup Batagnister. So yeah, fuck me, I guess. I don't really have plays at this point, so I'm gonna attack into the Nibiru token, and I'm going to attack for 3k, and then I'm gonna just go SP pass, and then hope my Crossout Designator and TB11 is good enough. So they're going to March Hare banish the White Miner, which is fine because I have the Ash in hand, so I can just prevent them from getting the White Miner back. And now we're playing the top decking game, and I have TB11 is guaranteed follow up on the next turn, so I just gotta survive. And hopefully this crossout is gonna do work because we're in the mirror match, so crossout is extra broken. And they're gonna normal summon Droll and go into Dark. And boy, like predict if you can see what's about to happen. So they're gonna attack over my SP Dark, revive my only Dark monster back at Batagnister, and we return the favor. We cross out Designator our own backup Batagnister. So I've played like almost 1,000 games of Malice at this point. The only 2 times I saw Crossout Designator, I saw a Crossout on backup were the 2 times that in this game. These were the only 2 times I ever seen this play happen, and they happened on 2 consecutive turns in the same fucking game. So yeah, that aligns my opponent, and they can't make Transco because they made a Dark. So yeah, they're gonna go into Haggard Lizardos, which like that seems wrong. Like I don't know how you have room for both Dark and Haggard, but yeah, you can add back your March Hare, but you have no Malice names in your graveyard at this point, so like the March Hare is doing nothing. And now end phase I go TB11 and summon out Dormouse, which can use its effect on next turn, and then the game is over. So yeah, that's that is about as interactive as like a Malice game can get. And you know, that was just like some very stupid, not stupid in the sense that they were wrong, just very plays that we had to make under the circumstances that looked very stupid in a vacuum. Okay, boy do I hope you love Malice, because that's going to be a lot of replays, and I know you don't. It's okay if you don't. Just please tolerate it with me, stay with me. This is the last time we'll all ever have to see Malice ever again in Master Duel. Copium. Yeah, so I'm going first, and I normal summon White Rabbit, and it gets Imperm, which is like, you know, once again showing how Imperm does nothing, because I already opened the March Hare with an extender in hand, so like this Imperm is literally just a hand loop. So I'm just gonna go into Linkuriboh to play around a possible Dominus Impulse, because I play 2 Linkuriboh, so you know I can afford to make a Linkuriboh here. Summon out the White Rabbit, then I can make a Link Decoder still. It plays into Nib a little bit, but at the same time, like I can't really play around Nib I can't play around Nib and Imperm with just March Hare and Rabbit. So like, you know, figure well, whatever. Play into Nib. They don't have it, White Rabbits, and then like Link Decoder summons back, and then they Imperm the White Rabbit, the White Binder. So like this is kind of a little annoying because now I don't have the TB11 to continue my combo. So now it's like I have to make a Splash Mage, and now I'm going to Splash Mage, try to revive my March Hare, and then I get Dominus Impulse. So yeah, that's all right. Cool. This is what you gotta do to stop Malice with hand traps. You gotta open 3 hand traps to stop Malice. Double Imperm plus Dominus Impulse, and you know, actually the Dominus Impulse helped me out there, because the Dominus Impulse popped my Slash Mage, which then made my Mulcharmy Foolaus live. And yeah, now my opponent's gonna normal summon White Rabbit, and I Foolaus here, so I don't I'll try to explain what I was thinking here, but like this was wrong. I was thinking that I need to survive. I need to not die. So in order to not die, I have to actually stop my opponent. I can't let them just play into a Maxx E because then they're just gonna kill me. So I thought it was I'm gonna activate Full Loss, and then they're gonna set TB11, and that way I can still Ash the TB11, and like still be and you know probably have a better chance of living. Now, why did I activate Full Loss then? Beats me. I don't know why. If my plan was to Ash TB11 anyways, I don't know why I activated Full Loss. So, you know, yeah, that's on me. That's kind of weird. That's kind of weird, champ. I don't know what the logic was there. Probably some tiredness going on, but yeah, they're going to set Min TP, and I fucked that up. I fucked that whole thing up because they don't even set TB11 after getting Full Loss. They just set the MTP. So I'm like, oh nice. And then they MTP, managed the White Rabbit, and then add the March Hare. We're just like, okay, cool, fine. You can add them. You can do that. That's a worse play than TB11. And then the White Rabbit comes back, and I Maxx E them, and it gets met with the Ash Blossom. So I just wasted my Mulch Army and Maxx E on getting 0 draws when I desperately needed draws because I had no play. Nice. So yeah, the White Rabbit comes back and they link it off into a Lingaribo, and then they activate I Meet You, which I am going to Ash the I Meet You. Thank you very much. I will Ash that, and then I top deck. My one draw off Full Loss was an Impulse, so that was pretty nice. And then they're going to attack me directly with Lingaribo. Did they use the March Hare's effect? They have a March Hare in hand, right? Why didn't they try to extend with March Hare? That seems. No, yeah, I get I guess they're under Full Loss. I don't know. I feel like there's a reasonable chance they could have killed me, but yeah, I guess they didn't want to play into Full Loss, even though they ashed Maxx E. It's whatever. So yeah, it passes back to me, and I draw Maxx E again. So what do you think is the line here? Okay, again, I'm worried about dying, and my opponent can 100% kill me through a Maxx E. So they're going to, you know, March Hare, banish the rabbit, and then make a Cryptor and then kill me. But I have a Dominus Impulse for that. So what is the play here? Okay, my smart ass came up with this decision. Okay, normal summon Maxx E, attack over the Lingaribo, because I have a Dominus Impulse in hand, and they have a and I have no traps in graveyard. So if I Dominus Impulse the March Hare, they can just normal summon the March Hare and then link with the Lingaribo and still make a Splash Mage. So I had to, with this Dominus Impulse in hand, I had to normal summon Maxx E to get rid of the Lingaribo body. That way, after I Dominus Impulse, they can't just normal summon the March Hare and make a Splash Mage because they would need another body. So yeah, that was my smart ass idea of a normal summon Maxx E to attack over a fucking Lingaribo. Was that correct? I honestly cannot tell you, but yeah. Anyways, I also don't set the Dominus Impulse because I'm a dumbass. I'll just say it right now. I have no why the fuck did I not set this card? My opponent doesn't control a card yet, right? I can't. It's whatever. It works out because my opponent summons the March Hare and then they banish the White Rabbit, and I just Dominus Impulse the White Rabbit anyways. Like it's fine. I was probably gonna do that anyways, but now I don't know why I didn't set this. Because now I can't use any further Maxx E's that I draw after drawing my first 2 Maxx E's. And the Maxx E also gets run over by the March Hare, and they set a card. So pass back to me, and I top deck a Wizard Agonister. So I'm gonna normal summon the Wizard Agonister to attack over the March. This is fucking 2002 as Malice gameplay here. Okay, attacking over. I summoned a Maxx E and Wizard Agonister on consecutive turns to attack over my opponent's weak ass Cybers monsters. And my opponent, thankfully, they whiff 1 draw phase, and all I need to draw is 1 hand trap. And that is better than a hand trap. That is a Malice name. So I get to set the TB11. And then I use TB11. And I get Dormouse. And then the March Hare comes back. And I'm going to go into Cyrus Wicket. And then link off the Lingaribo into the Wicket into Lingaribo. And then I'm like, okay, if you have a Nibiru, you have a Nibiru. But like otherwise, let's put an end to this game. We don't. After I don't know how you come back from losing to normal summon Maxx E into normal summon Wizard Agonister. So speaking of stupid plays, I opened the dumbest play of them all, which is not opening a play, opening absolutely nothing. This is the shit that happens when you play Malice. Okay, I open Dominus Impulse double red reboot, by the way, a draw and then a MTP, which MTP represents, at least it represents a play next turn, but like I got, you kind of got to live until the next turn in order to, use the MTP. So I'm just hoping I live, and my opponent normal summons White Rabbit and sets a TB11. So this is the desperate shit we're doing here. Okay, so they're going to activate TB11, and I'm figuring the best way to stop this line of play, my best option, is red rebooting a TB11. Red rebooting TB11, because I have double red reboot in hand, so I don't give a fuck about what they said with off the red reboot, because I can just red reboot them again, which is why the opening red reboot in multiples is the dumbest thing in the world. So yeah, we're gonna red reboot the TB11, and they're gonna set a MTP, which is like whatever, and then I'm going to Dominus Impulse the White Rabbit. That way, it cuts them off of their TB11 summon, and it cuts them off their White Rabbit body coming back. And now they have to specifically open March Hare plus another name to extend, and they don't. So they just set 5. And I don't give a fuck about set 5. It goes back to my turn, and I activate MTP after seeing what I top deck. I top deck the Hare, so I add Dormouse. I normal summon Dormouse. They tried to Imperm, and I hit them with the second red reboot. Because, yeah, sometimes you just open double red reboot, and your opponent literally cannot play the game. And my summon out White Rabbit, which gets Maxx, which I don't care, because like literally there's nothing they can do to like stop me anyway, because their back row is set. They can't activate Dominus Impulse anyways. But regardless, I'm still going to draw myself, so just so they don't draw into like something random, like I don't know, a Bistio, which they can't. The Bistio's not even fucking live, but yeah. It's a very simple at this point. You just summon out March Hare, banishing MTP, and you just make a Card Scripter, and then Card Scripter is game. There's literally nothing they can do. They have 5 back row, and not a single one of them is activatable, because Red Reboot is a fucking. It's a card that somehow exists, and that somehow someone designed Red Reboot. Someone in charge of the card design designed Red Reboot as a card. Just like think about that for a second. Alright, so these next few replays are gonna showcase the absolute stupidity of Malice. If the first few replays didn't show it enough, but yeah, I'm gonna start with Allure of Darkness and get Maxx. But I have this card called Droll and Lockbird in hand. So actually, I'm okay with this. So I'm going to Maxx. I'm going to Allure, draw into the White Rabbit, and then White Rabbit. Well, I didn't draw into it, but I drew 2 cards, and then I banished White Rabbit. White Rabbit triggers, and then I will draw myself so that my opponent will not get any further draws. And like let's see how big of a board we can make under this draw. So I'm going to activate Malice Underground, banish the Dormouse, and then Dormouse banish the Chessy Cat, special summon the Chessy Cat, and then obviously I can't draw off the Chessy Cat, and I link up the Dormouse into a Link Decoder, and I go into Heart Scripter because we're under Droll. There's no point making Cyber's Wicked, because like number 1, we already have 2 backup in our hand, but number 2, we can't use Cyber's Wicked, so I'm just gonna go into Heart Scripter, and Heart Scripter plus Link Decoder goes into Blast Mage, and my opponent goes 5 mana. So they're gonna go 5 mana, pitch Maxx. So they bro open double Maxx, and I open my own Maxx. So like there's like 3 out of 4 Maxx in our opening hands already. But yeah, they're going to make Arfalion, and Arfalion's gonna bounce back the Splash Mage, and then the Malulu, and like the 5 mana, or just the Malulu is gonna trigger, and they're going to add back 5 mana and bounce back my Splash Mage. Now, what is the issue for my opponent here? Okay, what do you see a glaring issue with that play? Here's the issue. I haven't normal summoned yet, so I can normal summon my Maxx and go into Salamangreat Almiraj. Now, why did I normal summon Maxx over Backup Agnister when I have 2 Backup Agnisters in hand? It's because of Aura, for no other reason but besides Aura. Normal summon Maxx, and like I guess the other reason is because I'm fucking stupid and I forgot I could normal summon Backup Agnister. But it's probably mostly that. It's mostly my stupidity, but a bit of it was because of normal summon Maxx, the full combo after getting 5 mana is definitely a power move. I will say that. So we make an Owl Mirage, and then I can special summon the backup. And guess what? We can make a Slash Mage again. So now the Slash Mage that they bounce back, now it's back on the field, and now I get to use the Slash Mage to go into Whitebinder finally. Whitebinder banishes 3 Malice names, including Heartscriptor, and then the Whitebinder will set the GWC. The Heartscriptor will banish their Arphalion, or banish their K2. I don't know why I banished a K2 over their I don't know. It doesn't really matter, but like then the TB11 summons out the March Hare, and then the Whitebinder summons itself back, and then the March Hare will go into another Linkuriboh, and then I go into a Ally Talker, and I could have made an Axis Talker to clear out the Arphalion too, but I chose Ally Talker because Ally Talker is gonna bring back the Whitebinder, and like mind you, this was all under Droll, by the way. I Droll myself under Maxx. So after drolling myself and getting Arphalion bounce on the Splash Mage, it didn't matter, because when you start with a Lure of Darkness, or when you start with Gold Strike or Malice Underground, you start without a normal summon. So you don't have to normal summon until later on in your combo. And if your opponent's impatient like that, you can just and they try to 5-minute you, they get punished because they forgot you didn't use your normal summon yet, because this deck can do its full fucking combo without a normal summon. God damn, with all these Malice hits, they can still fucking do that. But yeah, this Endward Ally Code plus Malice Whitebinder, you might be thinking, what if they just enter battle phase and attack over the Ally Code Talker? Well, you can, when they enter battle phase, you can GWC summon back the Heartscriptor, or you can GWC summon back the White Rabbit. White Rabbit will place the MTP. MTP banishes the Arphalion, adds back March Hare, and then March Hare can banish the Heartscriptor to summon at the Heartscriptor. So this end board still gets both Malice interruptions. It still gets both banishes, and it doesn't lose to a 3k attack monster entering battle phase. So yeah, this is, I think that's a pretty fine end board under Droll plus 5 mana into Arphalion, and our opponent leads with Rahu Dracotail, which that doesn't seem correct, because it feels like you want Rahu to resolve. So I'm just gonna negate the Rahu. They're gonna go 5 mana. I chain the GWC now. The Whitebinder finally got tributed, and now I can actually bring back the Whitebinder, and now we're gonna get a lot of chain links here. So they're gonna go chain link 1 Arphalion, target Malulu to add Malulu back, chain link 2 Urgula. I go chain link 3 Whitebinder to banish their Malulu and banish my Rabbit and my March Hare. So that whatever they add back with Arphalion just gets managed, and then the Urgula sets the K2, and then the Heartscriptor and the White Rabbit come back, and the White Rabbit will let the MTP. The MTP will manage to set K2 in hand, because this is because Dracotail has to set cards. Whatever they set is extremely vulnerable to just getting banished by Malice cards. So if there's actually, that's another reason why that matchup is heavily, in my opinion, in Malice's favor. So speaking of Droll, this is the absolute best hand you can make under Droll. So I will activate a Lure of Darkness, and I get a Mulch Army, this is totally fine. This is more than fine, because I'm going to draw in off the Allure. I'm going to draw into backup plus Gold Strike. This is why Allure is so fucking busted. I drew 2 extenders off Allure, and then I get to banish White Rabbit as a free extender. So like this card is literally like the most broken card in the entire format, like unironically. And now the White Rabbit comes back, and the White Rabbit is going to place the TB11, and then I'm going to activate the Gold Strike that I just drew to banish my Dormouse, and then the Dormouse summons itself back. By the way, I'm under Fool Loss, by the way. You wouldn't know that because my opponent is not drawing a single goddamn card, because I'm summoning from Banish, and then the Chesy Cat summons itself. And then I normal summon back of Administer, add the March here, and I'm going to pitch the Maxx, because who needs a Maxx? Fuck a Maxx. I'm gonna draw 2 cards off the March here. I draw into a Signet Mining, and then the March here adds itself back, and then I'm gonna use Signet Mining to pitch the March here, and then add the Wizard Administer, and then I'm gonna link into Link Decoder. My opponent's gonna draw their first card off the Fool Loss, and now I'm gonna roll. So if you're keeping track, I drew 2 cards off the Allure, 2 cards off of Chesy Cat, and then I added another extender off Signet Mining. So I basically drew 4 cards and then added 1 card before my draw. And my opponent drew 1 single card off the Fool Loss. And they're gonna draw no more cards off the Fool Loss because they're under Allure, because they're under Droll, and I have 4 bodies on board, plus an extender in hand, plus TB11 I haven't even used yet, and then the link to, yeah, anyways, we're just gonna, you probably don't need to see all these Malice combos anymore, so we're just gonna go through it really quickly. You know, Slash Mage, bring back March, bring back Dormouse, you'll go into Whitebinder, banish the Cryptor summons back, place the GWC, Wizard Agnister, bring back March Hare, and then link all 3 into Transkill Talker, summon back the Whitebinder, and then TB11, banish the Whitebinder, summon out a Rabbit, the Whitebinder summons itself back, and then Whitebinder plus Cryptor makes Firewall Dragon, and then Transkill plus 2 other Cyberse bodies make an Ally Kill Talker, bring back the Transkill, bring back the Whitebinder. And yeah, if you did not know that I trolled myself, I wouldn't blame you, because there's literally no way to tell that I trolled myself, because this is literally the full end board, plus 2 Trezicat draws, which is 2 non-engine, and my opponent. I also would not blame you if you thought my opponent didn't Fool Loss me, or if you thought this Spanish Fool Loss was because of Called by the Grave, because can you tell my opponent Fool Loss me? Because I honestly, I really can't. Not sure if my opponent would say the same thing if you ask them, but yeah, they're gonna normal summon White Rabbit, and now I'm gonna use Firewall, bounce the White Rabbit before they get to set a trap, and bounce the Maxx back to my hand. So like that's that's another thing. It's okay if you want to pitch Maxx during your combo, that's fine. Firewall's just gonna add it back for you. Firewall got you there, but my opponent's instead gonna use their Call by the Grave on the Maxx, and then to set the TB11, and then they're gonna proceed to scoop after that, refusing to elaborate any further. So yeah, that's, God, this deck needs to fucking go, dude. All right, so this duel has one interesting interaction, which I will point out, and then I will skip through the rest, because I have Cyan Mining. I'm gonna discard Red Reboot, and I get Ash Blossom. Now, I probably should have discarded Dominus Impulse unironically, because the Red Reboot would let me play through my opponent's Dominus Impulse if they had one. But spoilers, they didn't, so I was not punished for discarding the Red Reboot. But yeah, anyway, we do get Ash, so I'm gonna normal summon Trezicat, and I'm going to use its effect. Okay. Now, for those of you who don't know, TB11 plus Trezicat is full Malice combo. But I felt a delay. And I'm like, my opponent definitely has an imperm. I'm seeing it right now. So I'm gonna normal summon this Trezicat, and I'm gonna use Trezicat's effect to banish the TB11. Even though that would be bad, because if I banish TB11 and draw 2 blanks, I would not have combo. So like, I'm risking the biscuit for my opponent to have an imperm. And wouldn't you know, they dropped their imperm. So now, that is sick. That is I got the imperm out of my opponent's hand, and now I will proceed to set the TB11 that I was gonna banish, and then I will do full Malice combo after baiting out the imperm. So yeah, now yeah, normally we would have if I just didn't try to do that bait, and I just tried to use TB11 straight up, and then I would have lost the imperm. But now my opponent, mainly because I banished a Red Reboot. Like if I didn't, or I discarded a Red Reboot. If I didn't discard the Red Reboot off the side at mining, none of that would have mattered, because I could just Red Reboot the imperm anyway. So like that's I made it harder on myself. But whatever. Sometimes you're rewarded for making the ballsy plays, which such as potentially discarding your combo piece into bait out your opponent's hand trap. But yeah, anyways, now we're just gonna do full Malice combo, because my opponent used up their hand trap on a bait, and it's always correct. You always stop Trezicat if you can. You just cannot let it resolve. But that is the one instance where your opponent is bluffing you, to where you should let it resolve. But like, there's no way my opponent would know that. Yeah. So anyways, the full end board now. If you're wondering what Trezicat plus TB11 makes, it makes this. Okay, this is it makes Ally Code, Transcode, Firewall, Whitebinder, GWC set. And my opponent's gonna send Crystron Clankers. This is the one deck I do not feel bad about absolutely manhandling with Malice, because fuck these Clankers. I'm sorry. Like I cannot. I played the Single Cup. I cannot stand this deck any longer. Does anybody that's played the Single Cup shares the same hatred for Crystrons as I do? I'm fully sure of that. So yeah, we're gonna just absolutely destroy them after like doing something. It doesn't really matter because I have more interruptions, and they have 4 cards in hand. I have the full imports. Like none of this shit really matters. They're gonna add an inclusion, activate inclusion, and the inclusion gets negated. I still have not used GWC, March Hare, Hardscripter, or MTP yet, by the way. So, yeah. So this game, I opened Dormouse plus Droll. So like this, so basically this hand is unstoppable, and my opponent does not have a hand trap, so we just have full Malice combo. I promise you, I'm showing you this replay for a reason. I'm not just showing you like me doing a full Malice combo on my opponent and styling on them. Like you don't need to see any more full Malice combos. I'm well aware of that. So like I'm just gonna skip forward to the interesting part. Like if you want to see how to do a Malice combo still for some reason, like just look at this. This is how you do the 1-card Dormouse combo. And yeah, I also have Malice Underground, so I can just add a March Hare to my hand for free to banish off the Chizzy Cat, and I draw into a Lure of Darkness. So keep this in mind, okay? Unscriptor, the Link Decoder comes back, Slash Mage, yada yada yada, Slash Mage, revive the Chizzy Cat. Make a White Binder, banish Chizzy Cat, banish TB11, or banish Cryptor TB11, place the GWC. These two make transcode, revive Slash Mage plus Card Scriptor makes a Heat Soul, because this line can also make you a Heat Soul on the inboard. I draw into Red Reboot, summon Mount March Hare, banish White Binder summon itself back, I draw a card, and here you can see now, like the very simple thing to do at this point is to simply make a Firewall Dragon with Heat Soul plus White Binder, use Wizard Administer effect, summon back whatever, does not matter, and then Wizard Administer plus March Hare plus Transcode makes the allied code. So your endboard should be allied code, Heat Soul, Firewall, Transcode. Okay, you basically the full endboard plus a Heat Soul, so you get 2 extra draws on top of that. Now, did I do that? No, because I have no self-control, and I see 2 Lure of Darknesses in my hand. So you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna activate a Lure of Darkness, and I'm going to draw into another Allure of Darkness. I have to banish the Wizard Administer, my only Cyberse monster in hand. So now that I lost my extender, I actually cannot make Firewall Dragon anymore. So, whoopsie. And you see my hand right now, right? You want to guess what's going to happen next? I have no self-control. I'm going to, after doing full combo, I'm going to blind Allure. And then I'm going to Allure and I'm going to whiff. So, yeah, that's so that's the life of a Malice player. that is the most BM thing I've ever done in my life. I didn't even mean to do it intentionally, but you know, I deserve that. But you do full Malice combo only to discard your entire hand off of the Lure. Because you don't need the cards in your hand. That is so fucking stupid. And you know I'm not gonna lose this game. Like, you know, like we're seeing what's on board already. Like, you know this game's already unlosable with my board, so like I don't even need a hand. So like the fact that I discarded my entire hand is like literally just the most BM thing, and I probably deserve to like be locked up in several countries because of that. So now I'm gonna make a Firewall still, because guess what? This deck is Mickey Mouse, and it doesn't punish. You never get punished, because even when I discard my whole hand, I can just make at worst I just make a Firewall, add back the March Hare and the Droll and Lockbird anyways, and then make a Ally Code, and then still, despite literally discarding my entire hand, I still have Heat Soul, Transcode, Ally Code plus Droll in hand. Like, this is so. There was. I'm so, and I top deck Maxx off the Heat Soul. This game is so good. Like, this game it's unbelievable just how great this game is and how playable the games are. Jesus fucking Christ, man! I deserve to be like. My guy probably reported me after this game, and I deserve every single report, because that was not okay what I just did, intentional or not. That was literally red reboot. But by the way, red rebooting a red reboot once again. This game just shows everything wrong with fucking Malice in one fucking replay. Jesus Christ. Yeah. So anyways, I'm just gonna let them play because they're maybe because they're under fucking Maxx, and they're gonna go into Hardscriptor and then Hardscriptor. But by the way, I forgot to mention about Shifter. I cut Shifter from my deck. Okay, this was one of the early duels. I cut Shifter because the most played deck I played in a Duelist Cup was fucking Malice. And like when your most played deck is Malice, why would you be running D-Shifter for that? You're just going -1 in the game because you have D-Shifter in your hand. Your opponent has a useful card in their hand instead of D-Shifter. So yeah, this card, I actually took this out shortly after. But yeah, anyways, they're gonna make an Axe code, which I'm just gonna, you know, we're gonna March here, banish the Cryptor, and then they're gonna call by the grave my Cryptor, which I can just negate with the ally because I haven't used it yet, and my opponent's under red reboot as well. So yeah, that's God damn, that's all I gotta say. So if there's anything to take away from this video, it's that I suck, and I will never top 100 one of these Duelist Cups, no matter how hard I try. So, you know, stay tuned for 3 months later when I fail to top the next Duelist Cup. And I thank you for tuning in and watching my complete ineptitude at Yu-Gi-Oh! Yeah, and hopefully we get a ban list very, very soon after this video uploads.